Angela DeMarco is the loving wife of Mafia member Frank DeMarco. Because of her husband's job, she can buy all she wants, but not peace and happiness. She's tired of living in a dirty world of criminals. Angela also has a son named Joey, and she's concerned with the environment he's living. His playmates are usually daughters and sons of hitmen. At a young age, he learned how to gamble because of their influence. There were also other reasons for being married to a mob that stressed Angela so much. At the grocery store, she usually met the wives of hitmen. This includes Connie, the wife of the Mafia boss, Tony Russo. She leads the women in gossiping about Angela. They have been inviting her to gamble and play cards. The woman refused because she wanted to run away from them. She has been distant for the past weeks. This fueled them to talk behind her back. Angela's husband works under Tony Russo, and he pays him well. Tony is also known as a Tiger Russo because of his wild will to get the lives of people he dislikes. One time at the train station, he sent Frank and another guy to dispatch a bald man. They waited for him to enter the train. They sat behind him. As the noisy train passed a dark tunnel, they had a chance to execute their plan. They were successful, and Tony was delighted to hear that. The following day, Frank was going around in the kitchen. He was searching for something. Angela was pissed off because he opened all the drawers and cabinets. He was looking for his revolver. Frank was also upset that his wife didn't want to bond anymore with the wives of his workmates. He told her that it was disrespectful for her to do so, especially if Connie was the one inviting her. While they were arguing, Joey came in. He was just done gambling with other kids. Angela lectured him. Frank, however, said it was okay since he only gambles for a small amount of coins. She spent most of her life worrying if he would go home alive and bail him out of jail. Angela wants a divorce. Frank only laughed at her and said she had no right to do so. He provided her house, money, and a wealthy life she could ever imagine. The Mafia boss, Tony Russo, and his men gathered in a hotel. They were celebrating Frank's outstanding achievement at the train station. Out of their knowledge, Mike Downey and Ed Benitez are observing them. They are the secret agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation assigned to conduct surveillance. At the party, Frank arrived, and Tony hugged him. He gave him a tip for dispatching the bald man at the train station. He also expressed his admiration for cleanly executing the plan. Tony went to the bar and approached a lady. She is Karen, the waitress in the event and his mistress. He gave her some expensive jewelry. The FBI men saw them and concluded they were having a secret affair. The Mafia boss did not know that Frank was also dating this girl. One night, Tony learned their secret, and he took their lives immediately. He did not think twice about dispatching his hitman, even if he was among the best in the group. Secret Agent Ed informed Mike about the incident. Mike rushed to the crime scene. He reported to his director about the revelations they learned throughout the surveillance. They speculated that Karen was Tony's mistress. After he discovered that Karen was also seeing Frank, it hurt his ego, so he ended their lives. Tony will be charged for his deeds if proven guilty. Mike and Ed assured the director that they would closely observe Tony and his actions. They are positive that he was responsible for the crime, but they have no evidence yet. In Frank's burial service, Tony was there as well as other mafias. Their wives were also present and helped Angela in serving food and drinks to the visitors. Connie was also there. As usual, they gossiped about Angela even if she was still mourning the death of her husband. They said that Frank had a mistress, and it was also the woman in the hotel room. Karen grieved in the backyard. She couldn't believe that Frank had left her. Tony went near to give her comfort. Angela thanked him for his sweet gesture. She did not know that he was the one who took the life of her husband. Shortly after, Tony was flirting with her. She wanted to run away, but he was too strong. He kissed her passionately. The FBI agents who were in the van nearby were shocked. They immediately took pictures for evidence. At that moment, they speculated that Angela was having an affair with Tony. It would also be possible that she was responsible for her husband's death. Apart from the secret agents, Connie's friend also saw them kissing. The next day, Angela went to the grocery store. While roaming around to buy goods, hitmen's wives blocked her way. She wanted to escape, but Connie was there. She was so mad at her. Her sharp stare indicates that she already knew that Tony kissed her after the burial. She looked at her card and saw a slimming tea. Connie teased her that maybe she bought such product to lose some pounds. She also accused Angela that she wanted to be slim to attract men. With her words, Angela knew she was jealous that Tony had kissed her. She cried and denied Connie's accusation. She told her that she was not interested in Tony. Angela went home. Her son surprised her with his warrior costume. He also had a laser gun that made her worry. She doesn't want him to be like his dad. Joey, on the other hand, looked happy with his new toys. He told his mom that his uncle Tony had given it to him. Angela was bothered to hear her son calling him uncle. She said he didn't have to address him as uncle because he is not a relative. She also told her son to decline gifts from him. Apart from Joey, Tony also gave something to her. The kitchen was all decorated with red balloons, and it looked romantic. Instead of appreciating, Angela felt nervous about his gestures. She doesn't want to be involved with anyone from a mob. She wanted to live a peaceful life with her son. Angela packed her things to live in New York. At that time, FBI agents already knew her information. They monitored her actions. After learning that she will move out from the suburbs, Mike told Ed that they should follow her. Through tailing Angela, they will have more information about Tony. She is also the key for them to capture him easily. Angela finally arrived in New York with her son. She left all her properties, so she only could afford an old apartment in the city. She explained to Joey that they would only stay there in the meantime. She planned to seek a job to raise him alone. Angela doesn't care if they start from scratch. She wanted to start a peaceful life and earn clean money. On that same day, Connie celebrates her birthday. Tony was with her as she blew the cake. Suddenly, his private investigators arrived. They wanted to talk to him. The men informed Tony that Angela had already left and moved to New York. He was shocked to hear that. He instructed them to find her apartment as soon as possible. Connie overheard them. She felt jealous that her husband wanted Angela more than her. Angela started job seeking in the city. She roamed around New York with a newspaper. She read its employment section to find job postings easily. The day almost ended, but the woman couldn't find one. Fortunately, a street performer said a restaurant nearby was looking for a waitress. She rushed to the establishment and applied to the owner. She told him she had no experience working in a diner, but she was willing to try everything. The owner hired her. He was entertained by her pleasing personality and eagerness to do the job. He instructed her to wear the uniform. The boss went out to give her privacy. However, Angela caught him looking at her from the hole. She slapped him and poured a drink into his face. Tony finally found Angela's apartment. He visited her. Upstairs, he accidentally bumped the secret agent Mike, who was disguised as a plumber. Mike also encountered Angela in the elevator. She had difficulties carrying a chair. Mike Downey introduced himself as Mike Smith. He said that he also lives in the apartment. Angela, who had a tiring day, was glad to meet a kind neighbor like him. She also finds him attractive. She fell in love with him that instant. As Angela walked into the hallway, she was shocked to see Tony at her door. He invited him and his assistant inside. Tony was disgusted with her apartment. It looked old and dirty. He acted that he was concerned about her situation. He gave her groceries and flowers. Tony also said that he is still grieving for Frank, and he missed him a lot. He also visited after knowing that she had left the suburbs. While they were having a conversation, the FBI agents were eavesdropping. Ed rented a room near Angela to set up their devices. Mike, on the other hand, was in charge of stalking Angela. He was also the one who installed bugs in her room to record everything inside. Tony asked permission to leave. Angela accompanied him to his car parked on the streets. The man kissed her hands, and it made her feel uncomfortable. However, she did not complain because he had brought something for her. Little did they know Connie was in a car nearby, observing them. She was pissed off that her husband found Angela's apartment. She also saw that he was flirting with her. After Tony left, Angela's attention was caught by a salon across the street. She went near and saw a job posting. She felt excited and went inside. There, she met Rita, the owner of the parlor. Angela admitted that she's not an expert in fixing hair, but she's willing to clean and accept calls. Rita accepted her after learning that she only lived across the street. She also offered to cut her hair for a glow-up. Angela didn't love her new look. Regardless, she was happy that someone hired her. Angela went back to her apartment. Mike, standing on her doorstep, was startled to see her. He reasoned out that he was having difficulties in searching his client's door. He also told the lady that he had a cold due to the weather. Angela pitied him. She offered him medicine, but he refused. Mike ran to his apartment. He told Ed that they might have been mistaken about Angela. She was kind to him and convinced him that she was not behind Frank's death. Shortly after, someone knocked on the door. It was Angela. She brought the cold tablets for him. The lady also invited Mike for a date if it would be fine for him. Mike wanted to decline because she was older than him. He's not even attracted to her. However, Ed, hiding behind the door, forced him to accept her invitation. Mike changed his mind and followed Ed. He thought that he could tail her easily while dating. Joey approached his mom and asked her about dinosaurs. Angela didn't know how to respond, so Mike rescued her. He eagerly explained the animal to the kid. The young boy understood his explanation well. Angela blushed to see how Mike got along with the kids. It was a turn-on for her. She falls in love with him more as he flirts on her back. Mike also said that he is single and available. Their date was set for Friday night, 8 p.m. Friday came, and they headed to the restaurant. They wore formal attires, and Angela was stunning in her red polka dot dress. They drank and enjoyed the night. Mike invited her to the dance floor. Angela danced wildly while Mike burst into laughter. They also started to be intimate and hugged each other with romantic music as background. Meanwhile, Tony Russo and his mob headed out somewhere. He wanted to treat them to a meal. The men in the separate car were delighted to hear that. Suddenly, someone hiding in the bush shoots them. He fired on everyone in the vehicle located at the end of the convoy. Tony finally arrived at a drive-thru and went out of the vehicle. He let his assistant choose their food. The diner looked fun, and a clown was taking their orders. Tony noticed that there was something with the clown. Suddenly, it grabbed a gun and fired all his men. Tony remained calm. He aimed his gun at the clown and also shot his accomplice. He was able to get rid of them effortlessly. Angela, on the other hand, went back to her apartment. She also invited Mike inside for a drink. He agreed and placed a bug, so Ed from the other room could hear their conversation. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. It was Connie. She was hysterical and kept screaming. She looked desperate to find Tony there. He was not yet home, so she assumed he had stayed at Angela's apartment. Angela denied her assumption. Deep inside, she doesn't want him to see Mike, who goes inside the comfort room. Connie did not listen to her, especially since there were 2 glasses of liquor at the table. Mike appeared before Connie. She was shocked that Angela had brought an attractive guy into her apartment. She also felt jealous that a younger man fell in love with her even though she was widowed. Embarrassed, Connie left the place. Angela looked lonely. She's tired of being accused as Tony's mistress. She even moved to New York to be away from him. Mike eagerly listened to her complaints. Angela thought she would finally start a new life after her husband's death. Her son was also starting to imitate his dad. She's desperate to cut ties from the chaotic environment. However, it seems that her past was still following her. She didn't know how to escape such a dark world. Angela looked at Mike and thanked him. She shared that her husband works for Tony Russo. Tony already took the lives of many people. He also intends to court her, but she doesn't like him. Mike was left speechless. He felt that Angela's life is miserable. Mike placed the bug away from them so that Ed could not hear them anymore. He also felt sorry for judging her. Angela bid him goodnight and slept. Mike wanted to console Angela, so he went to her room. Ed, on the other hand, couldn't hear them anymore. He thought that the receiver was the problem. The next day, Angela woke up with Mike on her side. She was so happy to see him. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. It was Ed. He looked angry at Mike. He immediately got up and told Angela he was late for work. Outside, he said to Ed, he was sure that Angela was innocent. In the FBI office, the director was distraught at Mike for flirting with Angela, instead of finding evidence for Tony. He let him choose whether to resign from the job or capture Tony Russo. Meanwhile, Angela went to work. While she was busy with a customer, someone was looking for her. They were 2 men from the FBI. Angela was shocked. She was never involved in a crime after moving out. Rita, the salon owner, was also surprised that Angela was being captured. In the FBI office, Angela was shocked that Mike was there. The authorities introduced themselves, and Mike was a special agent. The director told her that they did surveillance on her for some time. She's accused of exporting stolen goods. Back then, Angela donated to charities to minimize her guilt because her husband was a hitman. Her husband only stole those donations. The director told her she could be in jail for 3 to 5 years. Apart from that, she also has an undeclared income and defrauded the government. This means she will be sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison. Angela cried and denied all the accusations. There, the FBI also revealed that they already knew that Tony was the one who put an end to Frank's life. She was also accused as an accomplice of the crime. They showed the photo of her and Tony kissing. If Angela cannot bail out her case and is proven guilty, her son will automatically be taken away from her. They will bring him to a foster home. Hearing that made Angela teary. She also saw Rita in the other room. She will be deported eventually. The FBI learned that she's illegally staying in the country. The next day, Angela visited Tony, who was talking to his men. He was delighted. Back then, he was the one pursuing her, but she never felt the same. Angela came in. She was wearing her best dress and wore makeup. She never wasted time and flirted with him. Tony, on the other hand, was attracted to her. He immediately booked a flight and invited her for a trip to Miami. At the departure area, Angela asked permission to freshen up in the bathroom. There, she saw Mike disguised as a pilot. He also wore a mustache to look more mature than his age. Tony has been waiting for Angela. He looked around but found Connie instead. He rattled. He is sure that she will plead to go with him. Fortunately, she only wanted hugs after having a nightmare. Tony was irritated with his wife and continued to scan the vicinity for Angela. He tried to warn her never to go near while Connie was around. Suddenly, he saw a familiar face. He also noticed Mike. However, he could not tell why he looked familiar. He set aside such thought. Passengers were already boarding the plane. Angela went out of the bathroom, and Tony's men hid her from Connie. Connie, on the other hand, was still not done talking to her husband. She acted like a baby and talked so much. Because of that, she mentioned that Angela was with a guy in her apartment. Tony never took that seriously. All he wanted was for Connie to leave him alone. On the plane, Tony and Angela were happy drinking wine. Meanwhile, Connie was miserable at the airport, knowing that her husband had made a reservation for a honeymoon suite. She rattled as she pleaded to fly with Tony on the same plane. She created a scene after the attendant said it would be impossible for her to join them. To calm her down, they booked the next flight, which was only 45 minutes to depart. At the Miami hotel, Tony saw the suspicious guy again. He was roaming around in the lobby but disguised himself by wearing a different wardrobe. As he stared at him, he suspected he might be the guy with Angela that Connie was referring to. Tony wasn't the only one who noticed Mike, but also Angela. She is also rattled, knowing that he's from the FBI. Mike sat in the receiving area. He was observing Angela and Tony. They are sweet to each other and even kiss in the elevator. He immediately reported everything to Ed and other authorities. Suddenly, 2 men pat his shoulders. They were Tony's hitmen. He tried to escape them, but they forced him to stay. Because of that, he tried to be friendly so he won't be suspected. Tony and Angela check into their room. They got the honeymoon suite, and it looked romantic. Angela loved it. She rushed to the balcony with the majestic view of Miami Beach. There, Tony gave her a present. It was expensive jewelry. He wanted to thank her for joining him on his trip. Shortly after, his men arrived and brought Mike. Tony introduced him to Angela. He wanted to know how she would react if he captured her man. Angela looked surprised but remained calm. She didn't want Tony to know that she knew him. Tony instructed Mike to sit down. He also removed his mustache to let him know that he was aware he was only disguising. Tony's men aimed their guns at Mike. He wanted to fight back, but they were too many, and he was alone. Angela worried for him. She flirted with Tony to stop aiming a gun at him. However, he never listened, so Angela grabbed his gun and held Mike's neck. The hitmen led her hostage Mike. Tony went mad. He ordered his men to aim their guns at them. Because of that, Angela was forced to surrender her pistol. She told him to shoot her like how he had taken her husband's life. Tony was shocked. He never told anyone or his men. The hitmen were also surprised and asked Tony if it was true. He also denied it. Mike threatened him to speak the truth because the FBI was only around the vicinity. It would be impossible for him to escape. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Tony rattled. He's not ready to be captured by the authorities. The knock became louder. Angela opened the door. It was Connie. Connie looked crazy. She aimed her pistol at Tony. She's already tired of him for betraying her with Angela. She shoots Tony but only hits the lamp beside him. She continued shooting, and it left Tony in fear. At that moment, Mike was able to escape. He grabbed a gun and fired Tony's hitmen. He was able to get rid of them. Tony was afraid to be left alone. Connie continued shooting everywhere, and she almost hit Mike instead of Tony. Angela was mad. She got up and punched her. Tony had a chance to escape, so he ran to the door. However, it opened, and FBI secret agent surrounded him. He couldn't do anything but surrender himself. The media also gathered to have live coverage, as the authorities captured the notorious Tony Russo. Tony asked permission to go to the comfort room first. Inside, she saw a janitor. She removed her cap. It was Connie. She carried a pistol and aimed it at him. Tony woke up gasping for air. It was only a dream that his wife shot him. He is still alive and waiting for his sentence to be finalized in court. Meanwhile, Angela worked again in the salon. She became an expert in cutting hair after Rita vanished. She also had a chance to cut Mike's hair. As she was shampooing him, the man confessed his feelings. Everyone at the salon clapped as the two kissed. Mike continued his job as a secret agent while Connie felt free from the toxic life of being married to a mob.